Hey guys, my name is Leslie and welcome to yet another book vlog. I started this channel because I challenged myself to read 60 books this year, and it seems that a lot of people want to know what I think of the books I'm reading, and I hope that by sharing my passion I can also recommend to you guys a good book. So here we go. Yeah, I know that was pretty lame. And yeah, you have no idea how long it took me to film that. Anyway, so before we get started, I guess I should explain what kind of books I'm into, because if our tastes don't match at all, then there's no point of you watching any of this. I am mainly into young adult fantasy. I don't like reading books that are too realistic. Feel like the world is a bad enough place. I don't want to read about it. I don't enjoy reading about experiences that are too real. So I enjoy young adult, but I feel like the young adult literature from today is a lot more mature than it was when I was a young adult. I don't read about high school drama. I enjoy reading about fantasy, adventures that take place in other worlds. I can also read mysteries, thrillers, sci-fi, but it's mainly young adult. In the month of February, I read 7 books, so let's get started. The first series I'm going to review is called Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Technically, I read the first and started the second one in January, but because I finished the second one in February, I'll review both of them as a series now. So this is a young adult duology, meaning there's only 2 books, so if you don't like lengthy stories, this is perfect for you. It takes place in another world where a lot of people have powers, a lot of people are scared of what they don't understand, therefore there is this fight between people that have powers and people that don't. The plot is about 6 criminals that get hired to take care of a heist. There's a lot of double crossing, things don't go according to plan, and it's very, very dark. But at the same time, it's very compelling, very engaging. The characters are mysterious, they're intense, you get attached to their lives, you want the outcome to work for them. The writing is awesome. It's not a very hard reading, but you still can't put it down. It's fun. You love the world that they live in. And the fact that each chapter is in different characters' point of view and yet the story keeps going is awesome, because every chapter you learn a little bit more about these characters' background stories. You understand why they are where they are now, why they're doing what they're doing. And it's overall, this has become my favorite series of all time. And I was actually really upset when it was over. For me, 2 books was not enough. I wanted more. So this is a series that I would recommend for anybody. Even though it's young adult, I didn't feel like I was reading a young adult book. This was very engaging, very compelling to me, and I recommend it for any age. After I finished reading Six of Crows, I picked up the Grisha Trilogy, which is also written by Leigh Bardugo. It's also the same world as Six of Crows. So it's interesting because Six of Crows and the Grisha Trilogy shares characters. And if you're gonna read Six of Crows, I really suggest that you read this one first, because Six of Crows references wars and characters from this trilogy, and since I read it first, I read it, I just didn't grasp the subtleties. So after I finished the Grisha Trilogy, I went back to Six of Crows to really fully understand everything they were talking about. This trilogy is awesome as well. It's not as good as Six of Crows in my opinion. It's written a little differently, but the characters are very charming, very compelling. The story follows a girl named Elena who's really not anything special. She's not very pretty. She doesn't have any skills. And then all of a sudden she's thrown into this world of crazy adventure where she figures out that she has these crazy powers and she doesn't know who to believe in, who to trust. She doesn't know where she belongs. And you can't help, you don't really know who you're rooting for. There's 3 male characters in the series, and you kind of like all of them. It's a really good trilogy, and I really recommend that you pick it up. It was really entertaining. In my opinion, at some times I was a little bored of the heavy descriptions, but then it quickly picked up. So I'm really glad that I read this trilogy. I really enjoyed it. The next book I read is called Total Urgency by Christian Jacq. Obviously, this is a French version, but there is a translated in English version called Total Urgency. So this is a contemporary thriller, and I wanted to give it a shot. It's not usually something I read about, and I was let down by it. The plot is about artificial intelligence, so it's a subject that's not very far off from what we actually live every day, and perhaps that's why I didn't like it as much. But the plot is about how artificial intelligence, a machine, is controlling the world. Every aspect of the world is ruled by artificial intelligence, and there is a group of people, the last on Earth, who want to help this chemist, basically alchemist, take down the machine. I didn't like the characters. I couldn't, they weren't compelling. The writing was a letdown. I've read other Christian Jacq. They're usually very exciting. The writing is elegant, and this was not the case for this book. Overall, this was a really big letdown from the topic of the book to the plot, to the characters, to the writing. So I would not recommend you read this, but perhaps you are a Christian Jacq fan and maybe you should give it a shot. The last book I read in February is also by a French novelist named Guillaume Musso, and this book is called Lost and Found in English. Guillaume Musso is mainly a romance novelist with a hint of fiction. So this plot is mainly about family. It's about a family to whom a tragedy happens and how they grieve through it. I'm not a fan of Guillaume Musso. I read it because I had nothing else to read. The writing is too simple for me. It's basically a book that you can read on the side of the pool or at the beach, and you don't really have this drive to really get through it really fast. To me, this is just to fill time, and that's not the type of literature I enjoy. I just don't feel like the characters are driven enough. The writing is a letdown for me. But overall, I've read multiple of his books, and they always have me crying towards the end. The stories are very good. That's all there is to it. The writing is shitty, but the stories are so good. So if you want to give a French author a try, I would pick up any of his books. Try this one. It's very family driven through grief. It was a good story. I just don't enjoy his writing. So that is it for all the books I've read in February. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment. Let me know what I can improve on. Let me know of recommendations. What books have you read that I may not have read that I could possibly enjoy? Please subscribe to this channel. I promise not to blow up your newsfeed. One video a month. That's it. Alright guys, bye.